Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Ron Kraft, and I'm going to be going through the WorkMax webinar with you today. Today, our focus, well, I guess first, before I get into some of the details, let me just make sure you got my contact information. Again, my name is Ron. With WorkMax, I've been here with the company for 7 years, and I'm on the sales side, but I do all of the product demos. And so I go through and help companies really to just improve, streamline and automate their processes as it relates to time tracking and data collection in the field. So my contact information, should you have any questions, or maybe if you do want to schedule some more time one-on-one and take a deeper dive, I would love to have those conversations and see how we could help. So today, our focus is what we call kind of unlocking efficiency, going beyond just time tracking, right? So it's funny that in the construction industry, labor is definitely one of the biggest expenses for a company, right? But it is one of the more antiquated pieces of how we track and manage that, right? So what we do with WorkMax is our goal is to really kind of move from those manual processes, whether that's on paper, whether that's on a spreadsheet. I had a company, a lady tell me that they had a mustard stain paper towel, paper napkin that got turned in with their hours. So what we're trying to do is, automate those processes, but also taking it a step further, getting more out of that data. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, is not just the time tracking, but what we can then do with that data. So some of the things here, you'll see strategic advantage, right? Transforming just a basic time tracking to something that's going to give you an advantage over the competition, right? Where now we're not just getting the time and hours from the field, but you're actually getting real-time visibility of job progress and productivity. Okay, we actually provide live dashboards that will show you budgeted versus actual, what's completed, what's remaining, what the current pace is, how you're trending, right? So again, that's taking that next step of more than just a basic time tracking map. We're doing something with the data. Part of that is also being able to validate and verify that information through features and functions like GPS, facial recognition, things like that. So resource optimization, again, kind of going along those same lines, is being able to enhance or see that job progress and productivity, not just the hours that are being submitted. Where are you with all of your jobs? A lot of places in, whether it's different states, different unions, different groups, there are very specific compliance rules that we have to conform to. Whether that is having them answer specific questions when they're clocking in and out and getting additional detail, also being able to handle all of the different and complex shift rules, overtime rules, and things like that. You may have multiple groups where for these guys, the overtime rules are this, but for the other guys, it's this, right? So being able to help you be compliant with that. And in the end, all of this data, all of this information that we collect, it connects and integrates with your accounting system and payroll, okay? So that's kind of going to be our focus today. As we go through this, should you have any questions, please feel free just to pop those in to the little questions box there in the GoToMeeting, and time permitting, we should be able to address those and answer those today in our webinar. So let me go ahead and pop out of this, and let's go ahead and just jump in to the system. Let's see here. Here we go. All right, so here's WorkMax. WorkMax is a cloud platform, and there's the two sides to the system. Here is what we call the control center. This is more for the office, for the admin, where you're able to log in online and view all of the data. The other side of the system, the mobile app, this is what they use in the field to report their time and submit all their information. It works with any Apple device, phone or tablet, Android or Apple. Also, our mobile app works offline. So even if they're in an area where there's no signal, that's not a problem. Okay, they can still use the app. When they get a signal, it'll just update and send back to the office. And also one other thing with our mobile app is, if needed, our mobile app is available in Spanish. So if you have employees that are Spanish speaking, that's a setting that you can turn on, which makes the app available to them in Spanish. Just easier for them to follow along and know where to go, what to do. Now, if I'm going to go through an example of just clocking in on the app and then seeing that here, but then we'll talk about kind of taking that next step. What do we then do with that data? How do we go beyond just time tracking and kind of getting more efficient with that? I'm going to go ahead and just pull up my phone right here on my desk. All right, so we have the WorkMax app installed. If I open it up, it's a simple pin pad. Okay, each employee is assigned a pin. And if I put the pin number in for an individual employee, okay, here, let's say we've got George who's going to be clocking in. Okay, so George goes to clock in. Right away, we get our confirmation page, right? So the camera turns on because we also are able to do facial recognition, helping to make sure that there's no buddy punching, things like that. Right here, this is where they can select which job, which project, or which location are they working. And everything in our system is permission-based. So you're able to control what they can see and do on the app. That means that you can assign specific jobs to specific individuals, making sure that the right information is being reported on. Okay, so I'll select one of these jobs, and then they can select their task or their code, right? What are they doing while they're there? Now, obviously, these would be your codes that we pull over from your accounting system. These codes can also be job specific in WorkMax. So depending on the project that they select, only those associated codes would be available. All right, so I'll select one of these codes and then just confirm. Okay, so that's complete, and it sends the data back to the office. So just a couple simple steps. They put their PIN number in, select the job, the code, and then confirm. Back here in this control center, so let's say that we're back in the office. If we go here to the time section, and if we're looking at today's date, here we go. There's George. He's just clocked into this job. Here's what he's doing, date, time. So it's automated and in real time that we see that back in the office. All right, so again, we're not having to wait for those guys to get back into the office to hand those in. I'm not having to get after them from the office to say, hey, we need your time, we need your hours. It's quick, simple, easy, and in real time that you're able to see that. So if we talk about how then do we gain that strategic advantage, how do we go beyond the time tracking, right? Some of those features, like I talked about, are these tags right here. These are the alerts about the details of those records. Anything that's red is an alert that's telling you that there's a problem. It's something that doesn't match up. For example, GPS, right? Or facial recognition. If these are red, that's telling me that they don't match, all right? So when I select that record and then scroll down and look at the details, okay, here's the GPS map. All right, there is the job site and the geofence around that job site. But all the way down here, okay, there's George clocked in 6.5 miles away. Okay, so getting that visibility in the field, making sure guys are on site. All right, we also took a picture when we clocked in. So if this is red, that's an alert that's telling me whoever clocked in does not match the picture for George. So when I scroll down and look at the details, okay, here's George, right? That's the George we know, but this is the guy who clocked in. So what our system does, it actually compares these images, and then it will alert you if it's not a match. Okay, now this is not required. We can turn this off if it's not needed. There's also no added cost for it. It's just whether or not we want to use that. Again, our goal is just to help validate and verify the data, okay? Now, as they're reporting their time from the field, there's also additional detail that we can capture. If you need to be able to capture units or production, we can do that. hey, you were doing this. Well, how many square feet of that did you do? How many linear feet of that did you do? How many XYZs did you install, right? Because if we do get down to that level of detail, that now is where we can come over here to what we call insight. Insight is where we then take all of your jobs, all of your projects, but then break those down showing budgeted versus actual. Okay, what's completed, what's remaining, right? Here's a quick example. I have this Sunridge condos job, okay? Now this is the entire project broken down by task with the budgeted hours and units. And these units, this could be, again, so many square feet of this, so many tons of that, so many cubic yards of whatever, right? But based off of what's been completed, okay, what's been reported from the field, just having those guys clocking in and out and reporting their time, and then also reporting those production units. We then can take that data and analyze it to give you and show you what your current pace is. Okay, how many are we averaging per hour? And where does that put us as far as a trend? Okay, so right now I'm seeing, hey, if we continue at this same pace on this task, we're going to end up over budget by that many hours. And the really cool thing though is with this is that we're seeing this in real time. Okay, you can see right here, this is updated just a minute ago, right? So we're not having to wait till after payroll a week later or more to find out that we're behind. Okay, so again, getting that strategic advantage, being able to see in real time job progress and productivity. Okay, and this same data, this same information, you also have the ability to push or send back out to the field. So from the mobile app, your guys, like your foreman, they're able to see this in real time as well. Okay, and then this also, I always use the term, data is king, right? The more information we can get, the greater it's going to impact our business. So when we can get down to this level of detail, not only is this helping you stay on top of the budget, right? But also now going forward for future bidding, for future estimating, I know exactly how long it takes my guys to do X, Y, and Z, right? So this is where, again, this is now more than just a time tracking system. We're doing something with the data and giving you this level of visibility with your jobs. Okay, so that's how, again, we gain that strategic advantage and really optimize our resources by enhancing the job progress and productivity. All right, I'm going to come back over here to the time tracking piece. So, so with this, as we're collecting the time, the hours, labor, part of our system is also customizing this system to match your business. All right. So when we create your account, we assign a dedicated trainer who we're going to go in and set up the system to match your business with all of those specific settings and details. Right. So here under our settings, this is where we have the ability to come in and create all of the different shift rules, overtime rules, and there's a lot of flexibility in being able to create multiple rules and then apply them to different groups, different jobs, okay? So when we have that need, again, to be compliant and ensure labor compliance with required detail and information, okay, so here as an example, maybe as a company, our default rule is anything over 40. Right? But maybe we have one group where for those guys, it's anything after 8 in a day and weekends, right? And when does double time start? Okay. If you're in California, California has some very, very specific labor laws, right? And here's what those are. Here's what the overtime rules are for California, right? So this is helping to automate that processing of data. So that way it's not either being left up to the guys in the field to decide what is overtime, what is double time, or in the office, you're having to go in and manually calculate that. We're able to help you automate that, okay? The same thing with our shift rules, okay? So if I come over here, again, we can create multiple rules and then apply these to different jobs or different groups. So, hey, maybe these guys, their shift is from 7 to 4. But we maybe let's say we want to use what we call an auto lunch, where we can come in here and say we're just going to click and then deduct or take out 30 minutes at the end of the day from their total time. All right. Now you could just back over here on the time tracking, you could just have them clock out for lunch and then clock back in. That's fine. And then that gap of time obviously is going to be their lunch. Or if you want, we can just use these rules and have that automated as well. Instead of at the end of the day, maybe we want to say we'll take that 30 minutes, but we're going to do that at 12 o'clock from your total time. Okay. Or we even have this option, what we call a dynamic lunch, that says we'll take 30 minutes only after you've worked so many hours. Okay. So again, a lot of flexibility in helping to automate these processes, making sure that you are compliant with labor laws and things like that as it relates to overtime rules, shift rules, things like that. Okay. One other piece that goes with that though, as far as compliance, in some areas, in some states, or maybe even unions or groups, it's not just being able to collect the time from the field, but I also need them to acknowledge or sign off to the fact that they worked their hours, that they weren't injured on the job, that they took their breaks, right? So that's where here under what we call forms, this is where you're able to come in here and create or build unlimited custom forms, okay? Things like change orders, daily reports, expense forms, injury, safety, toolbox talks, right? So these type of forms, when you need to be able to collect all of that additional detail and data from the field, we also then have this library of pre-built forms that you could have access to. Okay, we have an entire year of toolbox talks that you could have, okay? And there's a lot that you can do with these forms, right? But a good example, and when we're coming back to that compliant option, where you could create a form. So here, what happens is when we build these forms in this control center, they then become available on the mobile app, okay? So I want to show you just a quick example. I've got this, what we call employee clockout form. Now this is a basic, pretty simple form where, hey, it's gonna put the date when they go to clock out, but also ask them, did you take your breaks? Were you injured? And then I need a signature. But also there's logic behind these forms. Were you injured on the job? If I say yes, okay, well now they need to fill out an injury report, okay? The great thing here with WorkMax is that we then are able to take these forms and require those when they clock in or when they clock out. Okay, so if I come here under this build section, here then is where it's going to show all of the forms that we've already built, or I can click here to build a new one if needed. But I could take a form like this employee clockout form. Right, here's the form that I built with all the different questions and fields. And I'm going to come here and say, I need this form to be required for all employees when they clock out for the day. Okay, so now when they go to clock out, it won't let them clock out until they fill out that form. All right, so that's where we can require that and get all that additional detail from the field. Again, more than just that time and hours, right? You could also use this is great, like with that daily report, where maybe I need them to take pictures, maybe I need the foreman to put in more job notes and details, report quantities, maybe work logs, materials, right? So here then I could take this daily report and then just say, hey, I need this to be required, but just for these employees, right? My foreman. So now when these guys go to clock out, it's going to require them to fill out this form. And then we take it a step further. We could also say, when that form gets filled out, I need a copy of that automatically emailed to this individual or to multiple, right? So you can get an automated email alert with that information. Now, you then get a copy of all of those completed forms right here in this control center under the completed tab. All right. So now we've got this digital archive, right? If there's ever any questions on a job, we can go back to that specific employee, that specific project. Hey, you clocked out and you said that you were not injured, and then you signed it, and I can print this off. So now when you show up on Monday in a, on crutches saying that you broke your ankle on Friday, well, I'm sorry. Here's your sign out form for Friday that you weren't injured, right? So definitely a great CYA tool, right? But again, helping you be compliant. And in California specifically, that they do have those laws where it has to be required for them to get this additional detail. Okay. So again, WorkMax, it's a time tracking system, right? But we're going beyond that. We're helping you to gain that strategic advantage by getting this additional insight, viewing and seeing in real time those dashboards for job progress and productivity. We're helping you be compliant as well with those specific questions in detail, and also automating those processes with our shift rules and overtime rules. So all of that is being processed for you. Now, all of this data, everything that we've captured within our system, then we then are able to connect this directly to your accounting system and or payroll. Okay, now we do that using our integration tool called ConnectMax. Okay, that's this piece here. So this piece is kind of like the bridge between the two systems, between your accounting system and WorkMax. And with WorkMax, we integrate with over 100 different accounting systems and payroll. So whether it is QuickBooks, Sage, Foundation, Viewpoint, Computeries, Acumatica, you name it, right? Or even on the payroll side, Paychex, Paylocity, ADP, Payroll for Construction, right? So we're able to, what we do is we use this tool and we come in here and make a direct connection to the database for your accounting system. And what this does, this allows us to just automatically import all of your jobs, all of your codes, all of your employee data. So now going forward, anytime you add a new job in your accounting system, or you add a new employee, or you inactivate a job, this piece here will pull that over to WorkMax automatically. Okay, so there's no double entry. You don't have to download anything. This just runs behind the scenes. Okay, and so then we use WorkMax to collect the data, right? Just like what we did here. We had, we're having the guys clock in on the app. You're seeing that back here in the office through this control center. And then when you're ready at the end of the week or at the end of the pay period or daily, if you want or need, we then need to send that data back to your accounting system or to payroll. So we use the same tool, but now we export the data. Okay, so all of the records, they're already in the system. Okay, so there's no manual entry or anything like that. You're just coming in here and putting in the date range that you need and export. Now, this is going to download a formatted CSV file or an Excel file with all of those records, and then we just take that file and upload that straight back into your accounting system or payroll. Okay, so that's kind of the data flow between systems where we make that connection to just auto import all of that data. Then we use WorkMax to collect the data, and then when you're ready, we just come back here and export that data. Okay, so kind of coming full circle here now. We talked earlier on. Let me go back here. back one. You know, unlocking the efficiency, going beyond that time tracking, and you know, more than just a time tracking system. How do we gain that strategic advantage, right? And so that's through those dashboards. It's through being able to collect that unit in those productions. It's through validating and verifying the data with GPS and facial recognition, right? So it's doing something with that data. Here's where we also then are able to optimize those resources because you're getting real-time visibility for job progress and productivity, okay? And then also helping you be compliant, ensuring compliance with that additional detail, those information, all of those shift rules, all of those overtime rules, making sure that the guys themselves acknowledge and sign off to the fact that they took their breaks, they weren't injured on the job, right? And they worked their hours. And then again, you know, all of this connects and integrates with your accounting system and payroll. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and just pop out of this again, and we'll open it up. We've got a few minutes here for questions. I'll go ahead and if you guys do have questions, go ahead and just type them into the questions box, and we will answer those with as many as we can get in. Okay, there's a question here. Is there the ability to have a foreman or a manager report time for their group? So instead of doing it individually, like what we saw here with George, yes, yeah, there is. So if I come back here to the mobile app, and I'm gonna go in and put in a different PIN number. So let's see, I've got Tony here in my system, he's a foreman, okay? So when Tony goes to clock in, now you can see he can clock in himself as well as his crew, right? So yes, we can do this at a crew level, and you've even got some flexibility here where, you know, maybe this guy's not here today, okay? So instead, I need to come down here and grab this guy who's gonna be working with us today. So yeah, you can either pick and choose your guys as needed, or you just have your default group. And then again, same thing, we're gonna go ahead and select the project or the location and the task or code. Go ahead and confirm. Again, that sends it back to the office. So when we come back here and just refresh this page, there we go. There we got Tony, we've got all of his guys that have just reported into that project. So yeah, you can do that either or. You can do, you know, maybe you do have some guys where it is going to be an individual, like what we did with George, but maybe we have others where we want to keep that at a crew level, and we can do it that way. So you can do both of those if needed. Okay, another question. Looks like there's one on forms. Can you attach pictures to a form? You can, yes. So I didn't know if I covered that or not, but back here on the forms, again, here's where you can either build your own forms or you can use our library of pre-built forms. A good example is like a daily report. So here in this example, this is going to pull in the job details, and this is where they can then put in work logs. You know, maybe you need more job notes and details, have them report materials and quantities. And then right there, yeah, they can attach pictures to these forms, okay? Unlimited pictures, video, and on the mobile app, you know, we're seeing this in this control center, right? But again, these then become available on the app. So if I pull that back over here and I go back in as that foreman, so you can see we've got the time tracking, right? They're clocked in, they're working, but he has access to forms. So right here, here's where he can click, and these are the forms that he's been assigned or that he has access to. So right there under the daily report, okay, here's the same form we're seeing in the control center. You can see it pulls in the job details. Here's where they put in work logs. That's where they can take their pictures, video, record audio, answer questions, right? So really clean, simple, easy to use, okay? Again, then as that gets submitted back to the office, if I come back to this completed section, Let me go back and show you just a quick example of a daily report. Let's go back again. So if there's ever any questions on a job, right, we can go back to that project on that date and then pull up that form. Okay, here's this daily report that got submitted. Okay, here's their work logs, here's their quantities, here's their pictures, all of their notes, signatures, and now I can print this off, download it, save it, do whatever you need to. So yeah, you do have the ability to also attach pictures and images to these forms. Okay. All right, well, I appreciate the time. Thank you again for joining. My contact information, oops, let me swip that here. There we go. My contact information is here. If you do have any questions or if you would like to have a more one-on-one demo, I would love to see how we can help you guys to again, kind of enhance your time tracking and take it to that next level by gaining those strategic advantages, optimizing your resources, and helping you be compliant. So thank you again and hope you have a great day.